Hello. Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. But it's just not any other episode. We are celebrating 200 interviews completed since starting, and we are bringing back the last of the 50 group guests. This is our fourth round of just amazing conversations with entrepreneurs from all over the world. And we are excited that they are part of the BALM Global Podcast family. I'm not sure why we're not streaming to YouTube, but you will have it tomorrow on YouTube as well. StreamYard is acting a little funny right now, but the show must go on. I am super excited. Again, just back in 2020, when I built Building the Leadership Mindset podcast channel, it just sat there for 2 years after one video, and then getting into these place of networking and meeting individuals and hearing their stories and the challenges and their overcomings and all of that great stuff, that we in community decided that we were going to start bringing on entrepreneurs to tell their stories. And we've been doing it for the past 3 years faithfully, as well as celebrating them and each of their stories. And we bring them back to publicly thank them, as well as giving them the opportunity to just tell us what's happened since their time here with the Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. Before we go into bringing our first and probably only member today, we're in the holiday season, and we just know how busy and all that stuff is. But we do this a whole week long, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're just excited. So thank you so much to our lead sponsor, Carolyn Bob Green from the Passionpreneur, and she is also the CEO and founder of Training You to Succeed. Super excited about continuing the journey with this partnership. We do our Be Great series as well once a month, and she is one of our lead MCs for the Warrior Women BALM Global. So shout out to her. But without further ado, I'm going to have a great conversation, a vibrant conversation with this beautiful soul that I had the pleasure of meeting, knowing, and also being in some great communities with her as well. She is none other than Donna Tajian. Let's bring her right up. Hello, how are you?
I am good.
Good. It's just you and I today, and we're going to rock this. So I'm super excited. First, let's retell the audience, reintroduce you of who you are, what you do, and where you're tuning in from.
I am in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I am the founder of Vibrant Living International. And I love to work with heart-centered visionaries that are successful and help them take it to the next level.
I love that. Now let's talk a little bit about your episode and when we connected and you coming on. First of all, how was your experience? And I'm sure you had been on other podcasts, but how was your experience and just the conversation, being able to be interviewed on your journey of entrepreneurship, whether on mine or and all of them actually?
Well, one of the things, Nikki, I love about our conversations is I love to talk to amazing people and that are positive and moving forward and wanting to help people. And that's what you find in your community is people like that. And so that's one of my favorite things. Yes, I have been on lots of podcasts. In 2024, I was on about 5 to 8 a week. So I've lost count. I decided that that was a bit much because trying to get something else done. So, but doing that really helps you get practicing about talking about your story and being able to articulate what you do and what you want to help and all of that kind of stuff. Um, I think it's really fun to get to one of my questions is tell me about the man or the woman. Because the first thing we start is what we do. And it's like, but who's Donna and who's Nikki? Because we're a lot more than just, I help people succeed. I help people find how to do it from grace. I help people connect with God even deeper. But who's Donna? So if that's okay, I'd like to share a little bit about that and help them get to know the woman behind all the things that I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Who is that? And that's what I love about our podcast as well, because it's always like, what happened first? When was that building a leadership mindset moment that kind of flipped that switch? But something had to happen in order for us to take action. So definitely share that, Donna.
Well, a little bit about me. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother of 7. And I love to read and crochet, and I love cups of tea. I actually have one here in my Let It Snow cup. So I always have a cup of tea. I've been married 41 years. And so that's a little bit. I had my first business when I was 19. And I'm the only one in my family that has a business or has an entrepreneur kind of. So you stand out. And not everybody gets you. You've ever felt like nobody gets you, Nikki?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. One of the early days, I would always find myself in leadership positions without titles. Let's see if anybody else can resonate with this. One of my first experiences, just to tell a fun story, I was not yet, I wasn't yet 18. And I was going to school that was funded by social services to help me learn secretarial skills. I was a mother at 15, so there's a story behind all of that. And so this was a state funded school, and it was 6 months. I got $1 a day to show up to go to this school. So I was getting education, and they gave me $1 a day for showing up. So about 4 months in, the secretary of the school goes on vacation, and they didn't have anybody to cover. So they said, Donna, will you do it? So I am running the office. I'm not yet 18. And I'm running this state-funded school, and I kept finding myself in leadership. It's just like it kept happening. But that mindset you're talking about, did I believe it about me? No. And so learning to be able to be who God's created you to be and to step into leadership, whatever that looks like for us, because I think we're all leaders to some extent, but what does that look like? And learning to shift to really believe in your gifts and have confidence in who you are and what you're called to do is a journey. It sure is.
Yes, I love that. And, I love that we didn't even talk about that story. So I love this reunion, we'll call it, right? So that we get other bits and pieces of just what that looks like. And I love that you had said very early on when we started that you have that you help visionary leaders, right? How would you tell us, were you that visionary leader as you were going through the motions with just really seeing yourself in leadership, that you were ever going to go out on your own and make something happen?
I could see it, but I couldn't always believe it. And I think that that's the case. Or we step into the analysis paralysis where we try to figure out how. Is another area that really can hook people in, or hooked me. We'll put it that way, because I like facts, figures. I like to know how. I'm a planner. I'll create. This is how we're going to get there, and all of that kind of stuff. Being the visionary, a lot of times we just have to let go of how and allow and do the one next thing and do the one next thing and then do the one next thing until all of a sudden, because how do you begin? I mean, the old saying, how do you take a journey of a 1,000 miles or whatever? It's you take one step. And that's the way you begin to fulfill your vision is you just take one step and you take another and you take another until you find out it's like, and then you turn around, and I know you've done this. It's like, how did I get here? Sometimes that's good. Most of the time that's good. But it's like, how did I get here? I'm not quite sure how I get there. And we have to stop and ponder and reflect that how those suddenly happens when you decide to take steps. It's God meets you there and miraculous things occur. And being able to understand that. But I have to decide I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Geronimo and jump when I don't know how I'm going to land. It's those kind of things that are part of the leadership mindset and growing and helping others. One of the biggest keys about leadership is it doesn't really require a title. It requires servanthood.
Mm-hmm.
And when we recognize that, and I quit looking for recognition for my title, and I just serve, that's another thing that opens up a whole bunch of other doors in ways that when I quit caring whether I was recognized, all of a sudden I started getting it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm going to do what God called me to do. It's nice, but it wasn't necessary anymore because I was just going to serve and the best of my ability and what my gifts are and helping people. And so to me, that's a really big part of this, the twist between a leadership mindset is servanthood and not always looking for that recognition. And that shows self-confidence and a surety of your calling.
Absolutely. You've hit on so many things that entrepreneurs get into entrepreneurship for, to get recognized, to get that authority. All of those things come naturally.
Yeah.
But you're actually providing a service, whether as a coach, even as a brick and mortar, even as having a product, you're still serving, right? Customer service is part of that, and all those things. So I'm a walking testimony of that. That literally from the moment I hit that first stage, did my first speaker competition, I just moved. I made a decision that this was my calling. This is where what I was supposed to be doing, and then figuring it out along the way. And every month, because my heart was open to receive whatever God had for me, because he was the guide through all of this. There's many conversations like, okay, what next? Okay, we completed this. What's next? And then kind of going through that journey a year later, the same exact month, being able to launch BALM Global officially. And then sometime in July, kind of when I started the podcast, someone had reached out that was on my podcast very early on and said, oh my goodness, Nikki, I just been watching you. A lot of people don't really, go past the first year, and you've just been doing amazing and you're on fire and all that good stuff. Right. And, some of us, we don't really like compliments because, again, we're not going for the recognition. You're just doing what you're called to do.
Right.
But they were not expecting that response. They were expecting to receive it, like for me to receive it and say, thank you so much. And, whatever response they wanted, but it did kind of stop me in my tracks because I hadn't seen how far I came. I just know I woke up every day and I did. We just had our last virtual event for BALM Global, and that was titled, it was themed Just Do It, like Nike. And mine was just getting it done, right? My speaker talk was about just getting it done, like, organizing, making a plan, having a system, not really sticking in that whole decision making. But when I was told that a year after I had started, and then I actually took the pen to paper and listed
Mhm.
everything, you're just like, oh my God, like I did all that. So I can totally relate. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, we don't take that time to do. Can you just let us know, and we'll talk about this back and forth, how much value does that add to the different areas of your life, whether it's, mentally, confidently, and all those things? What would you advise entrepreneurs that when they take that time to take inventory of what they're completed, what does that look like for you?
For me personally, every morning I ask myself, what am I celebrating yesterday? And it's funny when you ask your brain those kind of questions, it begins to look for what you ask. But most of us go, what do I need to do yet that I didn't get done yesterday? What did I not complete? What am I behind in? And whatever you focus on, you magnify. And so every morning, part of my routine is what am I celebrating from yesterday? And it may be I took a nap. I took care of it could be that I'm celebrating, but I find something every single day to say that I'm celebrating about the day before. And one of my gratitudes in the morning will be that I got to talk to you again because we haven't talked in a while. And it's, and I love to talk to women, or I love to talk to women, but I love to talk to people that are amazing and they're making a difference and they're go-getters and all of those kind of things, but with that kind heart. And so then the other ways that it looks at me, that's a little side note. The other ways it looks like for me is I do the same thing at the end of every week. What am I celebrating? What still needs to get done? What's realistic about what I said that I needed to do? Because what adjustment needs to be made because we always think we can get more done than we do, than is reasonably possible. And I jokingly tell women all the time, did you know your to-do list will never get all done?
Yeah.
Because somehow we think it will.
Yeah. Constant cycle.
And then I do that at the end of every month. And then I do that for every quarter, what I'm celebrating. And then the big one is what happened that year, because it's always amazing to do that. And it's also for me, one of the big changes for me this year, since we've talked as well, is I've changed the main metric that I'm measuring my day by.
Mm.
And a lot of times entrepreneurs are measuring it by what made the cash register ring.
Mm-hmm.
And that is needed. It's needed to make a living. But my new metric is on a scale of 1 to 5, how much of that day did I stay in grace? Did I stay in peace? No matter what happened, no matter what curveball was thrown, no matter whatever was going on, how much of the day did I stay in peace? When I started doing that, my income went up in a way I didn't expect. It's funny when we shift, because most of the time when we're looking at the money metric as the main focus, we're looking at the lack.
Mm.
It's not as high as I thought it would be. The numbers aren't where I thought they would be. To my event, to my program, to my sales, to my book sale, to my item sale, I thought it would be higher. So we're looking at lack. And when we look at lack, it magnifies in our mind. And if you want to, we're believing for it. It's almost like we're believing for it. We're expecting the negative. We're attracting it, whatever word you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
When I begin to focus on grace, that was my number one thing, that I showed up and I loved on you, that I made you feel special, that I stayed in peace, even if I had a difficult conversation, that I did that no matter what happened. I got an emergency call a few weeks ago. One of my spiritual daughters was on her way to the ER with a 4-month-old baby. It's like, did I stay in grace that day? And how, all of those things that happen in life. And when I did that, the money followed. So
Mm.
it's what is your metric for 2026? What's the main value you want to carry? What do you want to be known for? And use that as your main metric. Not that I don't track the rest of it, but my
Mhm.
main focus is the other. What do you think about that idea?
Oh, I think that's amazing because I think that was me this week. I have to ask myself that. With all the technical things, even trying to celebrate these amazing entrepreneurs and what BALM Global's doing and what we're bringing. One, it hasn't been working. Some other life challenges, questions,
Mhm.
and things like that. Business, not the to-do list. Just trying to hit every meeting, just trying to make sure you do all of it. But for me, it's just smiling through everything. Smiling through everything. I think that I had one of my managers in corporate would come in despair, like, "Oh my God, Nikki, we have to get this done." And sometimes I have to be like, "Pump the brakes. What's the problem? What's the problem? What
Uh-huh.
does it need done? When is it due?
Mhm.
Okay, this is what I think should happen. Let's get to work." And he would always tell me, like, "Nikki, I don't know how you come in here every day with a smile, know that we are drowning." I said, "We can't control what we can't control, but
Mhm.
we can definitely move ahead of the game." And I am not going to have my blood pressure raised for anyone. I am not going to stress out for anyone, but we
Mhm.
are going to get it done. And I built that mindset very early on.
Yeah,
I started my career in corporate at age 23.
right.
Um, First real big, position. Um, but again, I was also just like you, Donna, working in leadership with no title.
Right.
And I think that when we can walk each day expecting that there are gonna be curveballs,
Mhm.
that there's gonna be a conversation you may or may not want to have,
Mhm.
but going into them prepared and with grace, and it gives you more sense of power and authority to what you're serving. So I
Yeah,
love that idea to really, and I love the key points of what are we focusing on first.
yeah.
Yes, the dollar signs are great, but if we don't have everything else together, and we're only focusing on the dollar sign, I love that you shared that the first thing we think about is the lack.
Yep.
Why do we do that? Because condition, because people worry about the dollar sign.
Mhm.
Um, and I too could agree that when I walk each day and just serve, it's automatically gonna fall into place
Yep,
with the right
absolutely.
people, right?
Right.
I always tell people that I am not in the convincing business. I am in the shipping business, leadership, um, all of the ships, right? I actually had a whole list and I did a post on them. I can't even think about them now. But you only
Entrepreneurship, leadership, at least. I know those 2.
um, friendships, relationships,
Yep.
all those ships. That's kind of
Mhm.
what business I'm in. And it really is, it all goes back to the mindset, what we've been working on. And if we don't touch or tap into that, and create the routines or use the tools that we've been feeding ourselves for years, we know what we need to do, but we still choose to
Yeah.
not do them. So tell me your thoughts on that when it comes to entrepreneurship. Like, what are the biggest things that people what are some of the habits people kind of tend to revert to that kind of slows them back down?
Oh, I think procrastination is big.
Mhm.
And it isn't intentional procrastination. It's really, I love to deal with the subconscious and the beliefs that are behind all of that in what I do. And it's like, I need to write this article. Oh, the laundry just buzzed. Or the dog needs to be let out. Or, man, I haven't talked to them. I wonder what's happening with them. And I look at my phone, it's like, and we just get distracted. And to me, that's one of the biggest things. it isn't one of the, see, I'm trying to make sure I quote it right. It isn't that we don't have enough time. It's what we focus on during the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really that multitasking isn't productive. Now, when you're raising kids and you're doing all the things, there's some multitasking. But to really encompass like this moment in time, all I'm doing is talking to Nikki. And I can hear my dog asking to go out in the other room. It's like you hear things. Like you can hear things going on. But for this moment, I'm looking in your eyes and I'm talking to you. And so I think that that's one of the things is the distractions, and we get procrastinating on, oh, this feels too hard, or I don't know how to do this, or I'm not good enough. And we begin to self-doubt. We begin to step into fear. To me, that's a really big spin that occurs but we stay busy. So we think we've worked all week on all the things we're supposed to do. And we don't always really do it. When actually writing that article or writing that book, let's say you're an author and you're going to write that book, it's like, so break it down and write a chapter every so, whatever timeline you want to say, just begin to break it down. It's like, what's the one thing I can do now? And not procrastinating on all of that. So have you seen that too?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I have for my community that I actually built for myself working in corporate was for me at that time, it was a call list, right? I documented all the calls I got in, the person's name, their ID number, and any follow-ups that needed to happen. So I kind of, when I started my community and really started providing like blueprints and coaching and things like that, I said, how can I put a to-do list that can give us data, right? It's not just inputting the information. It is literally what we capture, and we build it for every single member. They get their own personal folder with their particular to-do list, and it shares. The first tab is like the to-do list, and they have like their expertise that they can list, their speaking points, their programs they have. So I take that data and I'm able to, if I'm in networking or I get to learn my community members and I get to be in conversation with others and say, oh, I see a collaboration opportunity. I think you guys will work good and connect. But the to-do list, what that does is it actually has what it is, what is the priority, right? High, medium, low. It has, a note section with what it all entails, like anything like follow-up sections and stuff. But what I love about this one is we have a due date, a goal date, and an end date. And the first thing we put is we know when we started, right? But we want to have it done by this date. But when is it really done, right? When is that actual date? So now you have 3 dates that you're looking at. And when you see this, what this tells you, it's how long did this particular line item take me to complete? Which then sets a standard or sets, your standard. And you do it multiple times until you make it to a reasonable time that that item can get done. So after collecting weeks and weeks, we go into the months, and this is what I do personally for myself is I kind of go and say, okay, if my goal date was December 1st, but I didn't finish it until December 15th, now I have to go and see, well, what affected me from completing that within this timeline, right? And within this timeline, I multitask. I was just doing it right before this call. And I'm like, I'm getting everything half done. So I totally understand, Donna, when it comes to that. But using tools like that can measure, that will kind of tell you, are you wasting time or are you being productive? So having some type of diary, it can be electronic, but you need to know that. You need to know how long it takes. If you're a coach, right? We're doing some blueprints right now. I know that it can take me 1 or 3 days mixed in with all my other to-dos, right? So that's the time frame I'm going to give, and that's my standard. And that's a summary, right? But if I'm doing a full blueprint, then it takes 3 to 7 days, right? Because I'm adding a little bit more. It's a little bit more detail. So you have to know that. But day in and day out, that productivity needs to move a needle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally get it when it comes to like procrastination is huge. Sometimes we just spend our time on picking the colors of our brands or our logo, like when we're getting started, right? I don't know how many people I've heard from like, I am not starting this business because I don't have a website. Well, why do you need a website? People start talking about it now. It's an idea. You have the expertise. Like you can, definitely get your documents in order. Make sure that you deliver on the promise. There's so many different ways.
Yeah.
But when you have a system that you can set up very early on, that's the way to go. But procrastination happens to all of us sometimes, too. Sometimes we revert to that habit. But I totally agree.
One of the
So
things that
let's.
one other thing I wanted to share, and then if I can interject just a second, but one of the things I also think we do is we sit and work too long. And I was trying to remember which book it was. When we read so many books, it's like which author said this, that kind of thing. But I know it was Brendan Bouchard who said, take joy breaks. And so it's like work for 90 minutes and get up and do something that brings you joy. And maybe that's looking through social media. Maybe it's taking a walk, but it's doing something to break up that time, which helps you not procrastinate. It's like I've got 1 hour and then I get to go take the dog for a walk or whatever it is. It's like, and so when you do those kind of things, it helps you to stay on target. So that's one thing I've learned too.
Absolutely. And even in your booking, right? Sometimes we have some of our booking taking calls back to back to back. Like if we set those up with like some cushion time before and after, that'll help alleviate, because you can definitely walk away, kind of, do a quick meditation. You can breathe, you can stretch.
Right.
Those are some things that we're not doing either. We feel like if our hours, say from 9 to 5,
Correct.
maybe a lunch break, we might have, but we want to take calls. We want to fill up the time.
Right.
Also taking, like for me specifically, my Mondays and my Fridays are non-negotiable. They're my days. Do I work them? Yes, but I work them on my time. If I have nothing extra, I might put in a call or two and that's kind of when I get my work done. So I already have those days. Everything I can do in the middle of the week is a bonus. I have my team calls that, are very strategically planned in my schedule from the times we have our meetings. So, and when I wrote my book, great tip there. When I wrote my book, I was writing every 30 minutes. And you know what? I was writing standing up as well. And the reason why I did that because I didn't want to be stuck in the chair. So when I knew I felt like I wanted to sit down, that's when I kind of stepped away and kind of, did my thing. So there's so many things that you can do in between to kind of break it, right? We have these beautiful devices here. They have timers, right? Even if you set it on your calendar, we keep working, but we're not paying attention to the time because we're so into it. Set your timer. When your timer dings, walk away. I know that, and we're guilty of this. Sometimes we're on a row and we just keep going, right? Yeah. But we don't realize how much damage we're actually doing to our bodies, right? Whether standing or sitting, walking, all those things. And those things matter because they definitely have they take a toll on our mental health, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes I'm like exhausted. Like my brain is like, you need to shut me down. Like, don't think another thought. So when I get home and I say I'm tired to my family, they're like, well, you've been sitting down all day. You've been talking all day. This is exhausting. I love what I do, but it definitely takes a toll on our body. And we have to break those things up where we're not getting into that burnout. Great stuff. Now, I also wanted to talk about just what are some other advice when we have people that are just not moving? They have it, they know they can do it, they started it, but they're still like that, going back to that that imposter syndrome, I'm not worthy, and stuff like that. Because I know through Vibrant Living, you probably experience a lot of those conversations, those one-liners, like, "Oh, this is too much," or do anything that you can share with us, just on that mindset.
Well, we all hit that kind of wall about something, and when we're doing things, and it's first of all learning what is really going on. One of my specialties is finding out, well, procrastination's a symptom. It's not the root. And so it's discovering, why am I procrastinating? What's the thing? So I'll use an example of myself. Is one of my, I kept being told by my coaches, it's been quite a few years ago now, but you need to get on YouTube and you need to do videos. And there was everything within me would find I would write programs. I had a podcast, but it was audio only. I would do all kinds of things and I was creative, and I was, doing that. I was creating stuff and all the things, but I would not do a video. And but I didn't say it that adamantly. I just found reasons not to. And so my coach finally said, "Donna, we need to find out why you're not doing this." And she asked me this question. It took me through a whole exercise. It was a whole hour session of what being visible meant to me. And it went back to my childhood. Anytime my name was called, I was in trouble or I had work to do. It was never positive. And I was always the new kid, a lot, moving around a lot, and I was made fun of. So whenever I was noticed, it was bad. And somehow that was imprinted in my brain. And it wasn't consciously. But if I get on video, I'm opening myself up for criticism, and somebody's going to make fun of me. And that's never happened. But it's so weird that there's things like that we're not consciously trying to avoid doing a video. But when we begin to say, I'm going to write a new story about what being seen meant for the adult Donna, what does that mean? And what is it going to mean going forward? And so it's getting to the root of whatever it is. The imposter syndrome is a symptom. All the things that we name are symptoms. And to blatantly, I can't individually say, because everybody's story is a little different on why they hit some kind of wall, if you will. And so that's when you can reach out to me or someone else that that can help you find out what the root is and how to move around it very easily. So I was completely transformed in 45 minutes and started doing videos. So when you know how to move through it, but it's not being hard on yourself, it's getting curious instead of judging. Why am I having trouble doing this? Why do I keep not doing this? What am I really believing about myself? And asking those questions, or get someone else to help you as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the ands. And I love that your coach took that initiative, which a lot of coaches do, right? We always find out, like, we know, because we've probably been there before as well, that there is something holding us back from doing something. So we know the little nuances, and we can call them excuses, we can call them valid reasons, whatever they are stopping a progress. And the point is to jump over that progress, knowing, understanding it. I'm sorry, I have a cough and an itch too. Hopefully I don't get sick before the new year, or at all. But yeah, so you're totally right on that. And let's just go back to the stories that we tell ourselves. My son is so hilarious. You tell your kids sometimes, be honest with me. Tell me the truth the first time I ask, and I know that it's not going to be as bad, right? I won't react as bad if you just tell me what it is. Kids don't believe that. They don't believe that because somewhere, somehow, they've seen someone they know, or they've been that where they did tell the truth and they were reprimanded for it. They were, you know, there's just so many different things that sometimes we implant that, so we just don't
Right.
think that that's good. So one time he had something to tell me, and he did. And I responded, and I gave him all the tips, the pros and the cons, the why you should, why you shouldn't, what is that going to do for you? Like all the scenarios. We had a great conversation. And after the conversation, he's like, wow, mom, I wasn't expecting that. I told you, if you just tell me the truth or tell me what's on your mind, we're going to get you the answers. And that's all we do, especially as coaches. Like we have to first be real with ourselves and
Right.
then be real, because true result and true transformation happens. And for all coaches, I know that that's their number one priority, is to make sure that their tools, exercises, their expertise gets you from point A to point C, exactly what you're looking for. So Donna, what are you working on? What does your 2025 look like closing out? And then what's happening in 2026 for you?
Well, in December, starting the 28th of December, I am doing a free challenge, and it's called 7 Days of Praise and Presence. And it comes from a scripture in Psalms 119, which says, 7 times a day I will praise you. And that really stuck with me. And I thought it would be a wonderful way to bring in the new year, not necessarily with resolutions and goals and all the statistics, but putting your spiritual life in order and doing that. So it is housed in my school community. It's free, but it isn't on video. It's between you and God. I give you prompts and some audio things every day during that 7 days, but it's some ideas on how to praise God. But I encourage you to set a timer 7 times a day and stop and praise God and see how you enter your new year. So that's happening the 28th through January 3rd. And if you're interested, you can message me and I'll be happy to show you how to sign up for that. So that's happening. And then in January, I am doing a masterclass, and it's called the 50K problem you're trying to solve with willpower and why it's not working. So we're going to be talking about that. And every other month for 2026, I'll be holding some kind of event or masterclass. In May, I'm having a multi-speaker. I quit calling them summits because mine are more like encounters. It's experiential. So I'm figuring out exactly what the name is for May, but it's going to be the theme of being rooted, how to be established, how to have your roots go deep so things don't shake you. And so that will be a multi-speaker event that's coming up as well. So that's just a little tip. I've got the whole year planned, but that's just a little bit.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Please, in the private chat in here, you can send the your school link, and then I will make sure I add it to the show notes as well. And how can people get a hold of you on socials?
The main place I am is Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. And so my name is unusual. It's not hard to find. And so that would be an easy way to check out what I've got going on. I also have a YouTube channel called the Vibrant Living International channel. And my face is there. So it's easy to find in that respect. So I'd love you to check that out. And I'd love to see you join the challenge as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So you did tell us what 2026 looks like. Are you that entrepreneur that picks a word out for the year?
Yeah, I usually do. I think my main word for the year will be shalom. And so it's dealing with what does peace mean, and really being a peace carrier. I think that's what it's going to be, but I'm still finalizing that.
I've had so many words just downloaded. I'm like, oh my God, which one do I focus on? Do I
I
focus
know.
on? And it's like, I think I've done like transformation when I first started. Then it was intentional, purposeful, just all those things. But it has to feel right. And if you don't know what a word of the year is, or even a life word, it's really just coming up with something that speaks to you on how you want to move every single day. Like that is the focus, that you're always, your actions go towards that, and obviously everything else. But that is really, can you share, did you have what was your 2025 word?
I had more than one. I'd have to go back and remember. Strategic was one of them. And to be more strategic instead of doing the shotgun approach.
So you gave yourself more time. Like
more
how did
time. And I think the year before was simplify. If you get a theme, there's this even peace kind of sounding for what I do. There's kind of this theme going on, but God's really been speaking to me about peace is not passive, that peace is powerful, and you can carry it into a room. And so what that all means. And so that is really where I think I'm headed with things.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your word. I know some people are holding it hostage for a little bit. That is okay. But this has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you again for filling in our Wednesday slot. We have some more guests coming in Thursday and Friday. Those will be a little bit more packed. But this has been phenomenal. Donna, I love speaking to you, and I just love the vibrance that just exudes you. Definitely connect with her, get to know her, check out the podcast interview on the Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. But I do want to give you a moment to kind of leave our audience with some thoughts entering into 2026.
One of my favorite things that one of my coaches said to me is to get up every day and proceed as if success is inevitable. And if you have been an entrepreneur for very long, there are days that seems hard. Days where it feels downright impossible because a lot of things seem to go wrong sometimes. And when you get stuck in that, still get up every day and know that circumstances they don't define you. They don't limit you. They actually can empower you. And so begin to get, and the second thing is get help, which your community does. But if you happen to be not getting help from her community, get someone to give you help and support as well. But if you get up every day and act as if I make this call, it's going to go amazing. It will change the way you make the call or write the book or whatever it is get up every day and proceed as if success is inevitable.
Beautiful words to close out and really take into the new year. And just going back to the community comment, I always say, like, if you are not in community, not like if you're not in community, being in community takes you faster to your goals because of the support that community brings, right? The right community, whether it be ours, whether it be whomever's, but you can also build your community as well. Just know that that is an opportunity. If you want to surround yourself with just authors or just people that are positively creative, start it. Whatever it is that you want to do in life it's possible, it's doable. Life is truly limitless when you are open to receiving the gift you were called upon on this life from him. Like God has prepared us for something. So I will just end as I always end every podcast. We are closing out day 3 of this 200 interview celebration. And I have been here with Donna Tajian. She has bring us more value, more gems, and more perspective and viewpoints to really take power and master what it is we want to do. Whether it's journaling, whether it's taking that inventory, whether it's connecting with a coach that is in that area, in that industry that you want to pour life into, for that person who has been praying for you. Definitely go out and do that. 2026 is going to be that for many. Thank you all. Have a great day and make it count. Bye, everyone.